Hey everyone, good morning. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are. For me, it's morning, it may be evening, afternoon, or night, or even the next day for some of you guys. But thank you so much for stopping by. I want to talk with you all today about the dangers of affairs and why it's okay. If you have a cheating spouse, especially if this person is an habitual cheater, you've caught him or her cheating a few times, you are in a position where you can end that relationship. Okay. And this is the one, it's not the, it's one of a few things, but this is where the Bible is very specific about a person being able to divorce someone who has cheated. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's extremely dangerous to remain in a relationship with a person who is a cheater. I'm going to read a couple of scriptures to you and then we're going to talk about it. And one of the things I'm going to read to you is in Proverbs. All right? And it says in Proverbs, I would say read all of it, but I'm going to read you Proverbs chapter 6, and I'm starting at 23. It says, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. To keep you from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by the means of a whorish woman is a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned? So is he that goeth into his neighbor's wife. Whosoever touch her shall not be innocent. Men do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry." Okay? "But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold, and he shall give all the substance of his house." So what that is basically saying is that, if a thief steals because he's hungry, or sometimes someone goes into the store, I'm not saying that the Bible is saying it's okay to steal, but what it's saying is we should have compassion on a person where they have, in this case, there's a person who is hungry. His family, his or her family may be hungry, and they go and they steal. This person go to so that they can eat, okay, which is a basic human need. And if he is found, then he restores what he has stolen, okay, in some way, some way he's going to pay back little by little in some sort of way for what he took. But here's the but, guys, B-U-T. "Whoever commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding, and he that does it destroys his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away." And this is why also, "For jealousy is the rage of a man." Jealousy is the rage of a man. "Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom. Neither will he rest content, though you give many gifts." All right? So a few things stands out to me here. Number one, it's saying, the Bible gives you this comparison. The proverb is talking about, someone goes out and they end up stealing, not because by nature that they are a thief, but they are hungry, they're starving, they have no means. They had to go out and take to eat, to feed themselves or to feed their family. And if they're caught, they're saying, don't despise the person. Don't look at, oh, they stole. Look at the bigger picture. This person was hungry. This person was starving. It's like if somebody has a child or a family member and the person needs, let's say they need some asthma medicine and they can't afford it and they don't have it and they're trying to get help and they can't get help and their child is at home wheezing, or their significant other. That person at some point may feel desperate enough under those circumstances to go out there and steal some albuterol, or if they have access to something like that, they're going to do that. They may even be desperate enough to go out there and steal someone else's medication, that they know someone who has asthma and they found a way to get it, even though the dosages are different. They're just desperate to help their child by any means necessary. And it's the same thing. They're hungry. This person is stealing because they are so hungry. They're like, look at the bigger picture, but nevertheless, they still need to come up with a plan of action where they pay back what they've stolen in some way. But however, a person who cheats, who goes in onto another man's wife, another woman's husband, then no amount of begging or pleading or offering is going to be able to satisfy the jealousy or the rage of this man. It's a different type of emotion. If you notice, when you read in the Bible about these particular situation, you don't see any follow-up to say that jealous man will then face the Lord for his actions, and the Lord will be displeased. No. Because when a man and a woman, they're together, and then you go and cheat, or one of them cheat, there is a rage. It's something that's very different here. That it's almost like, I'm not saying God's going to turn a blind eye, but he warns us not to do this, because the rage and the anger that comes from it, there's no getting away from it when faced with it, right? So now let's go over to Proverbs 7. And I'm going to skip. Please read Proverbs 7 in its entirety, but I'm going to go down to starting at verse 6. And it talks about this young man that ends up running into the adulterous woman. And it says, "For at my window of my house I looked through my casement, and beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding." So he has no understanding. He's passing through the streets near her corner, and he went the way to her house in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of a harlot and subtle of heart. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house. Now is she outside, okay? Now in the streets, and lie in wait at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said to him, "I have peace offerings with me. This day I have paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee." Okay? "Diligently to seek thy face, and I have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the good man is not at home." She has a good man. Now, in other words, talking about good men, but they're not really saying good man, but I'm breaking it down that way. He's out working, doing all this stuff, then she's there doing this. Okay, "For the good man is not at home. He is gone a long journey. He taketh a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed. With her much fair speech she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips she forced him. He goes after her straightway, as an oxen going to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knows not that it is for his life. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths. For she has cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way of hell, down to the chambers of death." All right. So I just have to say here, even though the Bible is really talking about the adulterous woman, we do know that there are adulterous men. I feel like this goes to both men and women. Women can be tempted by men who are married Women can be tempted by men who are unmarried, but we're talking about marriage here. They can be tempted by men who are married. Men can, so it's not only that. It's not only women who are going out there and doing the tempting. Even though I do want to talk about something here. I do want to talk about something that's coming to my mind as I'm speaking. Men can also be seductive, but I think while it's talking about the adulterous woman, I think this is because really there is no affair unless the woman gives the green light. It doesn't matter how much a man tempts a woman. If she doesn't want him, it's not going to happen. But a woman can tempt a man and change his mind. She can. I mean, there are men who are strong that says no, and it does not happen. But what I'm saying, when it really gets down to it, it's really in a woman's court whether an affair or anything is going to happen, because women are built in a way that we are the one that say yes or no. That's the way it's going to go down, or it's not going to go down. So because the seduction and all of that kind of thing, it's not exactly a man's best forte. They can try, but if a woman doesn't want you, it doesn't matter what you try to do and how you try to. And it takes more than just raising your eyebrows and trying to blow kisses for a woman to want you. It's a whole lot to it. It's everything to do with, how you smell, how you look, how you conduct yourself, what you say. There's a lot to it. All right. I mean, you may find some woman that all you have to do is go out there and buy them a Happy Meal and they're going to get in bed with you. But this is not the norm. Normally, this is a woman who has hit rock bottom, dire straits, probably on drugs, different things like that. And I'm not saying all women who have taken drugs is this way, but what I'm saying is that she has to be in a state where she is just really not herself. Because if she is herself and she's not hungry and she's not starving and she's not in some crack house somewhere or on the street or in a desperate situation or have been hurt and broken down to the point that she does not recognize herself anymore, she is not going to be that easily tempted. But if you're in dire straits and you don't have your basic needs, you are not protected, you are vulnerable, you're in a hypervigilant state as a woman, then yes, someone may be able to tempt you with zero to nothing, because of where you are. But normally that very same woman who would accepted a Happy Meal for sex, okay, being in a situation where she's fed and clothed and secure in herself and stable, maybe not under the influence of any sort of drug or alcohol, she would not do that. So I think in this case, when they're saying the adulterous woman, they're talking about the adulterous woman, it's really because seduction does not happen. A man's seduction is not received unless the woman, it's not going to work unless the woman is okay with it, because we really have that type of power. We really do. But what I'm saying is, this is not just to talk about the women. I've done videos about the other woman, the power of woman. I do have that in a playlist if you want to see in depth a lot of the videos that I've done about women and cheating and our role and all that. But guys, adultery, affairs, being with someone that's a cheater, it's dangerous. It opens you up to danger. When you're saying you're going to stay with a man or woman who cheats, there's so much more to it, because they've gone out there and they've become one flesh with another person. And while you two may make up, sometimes that other person on the outside is not done, and they can become extremely dangerous. It is not uncommon to hear about, to read about a husband or a wife that was murdered by a jealous boyfriend, girlfriend, or lover. Or if a lover is murdered by a jealous husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. Whether you are married or not, when you discover that your partner has issues with fidelity, has issues with keeping themselves only loyal to you, then you have a lot to think about. You can go ahead and argue with the other woman, the other man, and you do all these things. You can forgive as many times as you choose to forgive, but you have to understand here that you are ultimately responsible for yourself. And this is a situation, and these are the scenarios that God allows you to pull out and to pull away, because it's absolutely dangerous. It is absolutely dangerous. I understand that there's situations where a husband and a wife, some things may happen. Sometimes affairs happen because someone is hurt, someone is neglected. Sometimes it's not even intentional, in the sense of you just didn't, sometimes the men and women, you may have a friend of the opposite sex or whatever, and you just don't think about the lines that can be crossed and the boundaries. And somehow you just get too close, and you talk about things that you shouldn't talk about because you're so comfortable with one another. And somehow life and circumstances and situation, as you are becoming closer together emotionally through conversation, that you end up having an affair with a person. And you did not intend for that to happen. Okay? But the thing about it, even with it's not intended, there's always signs before you get to that point. You're going to know when your mind or your feelings are changing. You're going to pick up on the flirtation. You're going to realize if you're excited about seeing the person, you see them, your heart skip a beat or whatever. You're allowing yourself to get closer. So I have to digress and say, I have to kind of renege that statement about you didn't intend for it to happen. I think the key is that some people, they think they're in control and they know when to stop. But before it becomes an affair, before that first encounter, there are moments that you are well aware of the change in the dynamics of the relationship. Okay? And these things can happen, but the bottom line is it can be something that the husband or the wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, they realize, you know what, I made a mistake. I should not have done that. And they work it out. There are people where it's worked out, but the person is not obligated to work it out with you, even if you feel complete remorse. You could cry till you cry blood out your eyeballs. That man or woman is not obligated to stay with you just because you're sorry. They have the right to leave you and not look back, even if you only did it once. Even if you didn't go all the way. You kind of, I didn't finish. And then there are those, as I said, it works out. And this will be the exception, not the rule. A lot of times when you're dealing with a person who has issues with fidelity and they are serial cheaters, they're always cheating, there's always somebody, whether they're having a conversation with them, whether they went out with them, whether they're meeting, whether they're chatting, whatever. There's situations where people, they just like other men and other women, and you've been dealing with this person for a very long time, and you have to make a choice and a decision. Are you going to go chasing these people? Are you going to go getting into fights with men and arguing with men and doing all these things and arguing with women and all that? Or do you make a choice and decision for yourself to safeguard yourself? Because that's the bottom line. And especially if you guys are single and you have a boyfriend or girlfriend who is doing all this shady stuff, there's always something they're doing that's not really above board, and you catch them in lies and things of that nature. You have to understand that if this person is doing this and they haven't married you, you know what to expect. But there have to be a decision that is made, guys, for yourself. That when you catch a person cheating on you, or they confess it, or it's found out, you don't have to stay with them. And the reason why you don't stay with them is because you don't know who they're messing with. Is because in some cases they have this habit of doing this, and what can happen eventually is they bring someone in your life that can be extremely dangerous, can take your life. Not only that, when you're being hurt a lot, you can do something unthinkable. You may not believe that you can, but when you're hurt that often, you can really end up doing something that you cannot take back, and that can change your life. Okay? And you may, at some point, you're trying to get away from this person that's cheating on you all the time, and then they do something crazy to you. So that is why when, God drops these things on your lap, and he shows you the truth, now you have to seek him in making decisions and to strategically plan how you get out of that. You're not obligated to stay with a person who cheats on you. I know that in some churches, they'll try to guilt you into that. You have men who cheat on their wives a lot. And then they go to the deacons and to the pastor, and then you're trying to leave. You may have said, I'm going. Then he runs to go crying to the pastor, and then they're circling you, and they get their wives, and they're trying to talk to you in these hushed tones and tell you, we're supposed to forgive, and what about your kids, and what about this, and what about that, and they'll talk you into it. And some of you stay because you feel like you're in this catch-22, but you are in a position to divorce a person. You can. There are men, the wives do things, she's cheating. And then she I don't know if she will run to the church, because women are kind of different in how they do things, but she may go down there and twist the whole narrative and say that you cheated on her. You see, women's going to be a little different. They're not going to admit they screwed up. They're going to put it on you. And so everything will be all turned around, or she may have someone that knows you guys very well, and she'll beg and cry, and they're telling, oh, give her a chance. Maybe her mom, maybe her dad, maybe her family, maybe somebody. And they make you feel like you should. And especially if they go to church, they'll use the word of God on you. But whatever you decide to do, whether you're going to stay and work it out because you believe you can, or if you choose to leave them. If a person cheats on you, you can leave. You without guilt. And forgiveness has nothing to do with it. The Bible tells us right here that nothing in the world, no amount of gifts, is going to change the reality of what's going to happen here. It tells you in Proverbs chapter 6. You're not going to regard any ransom, no type of offering, no type of begging, nor will he rest content, though you give many gifts. Nothing will change that. It's over, it's done with, and that person can leave you. And most importantly, it's the same thing when people are having affairs. I understand that life situations and things and people's mindset at the time, no one is totally excluded from having made poor choices, whether it's by affairs or any other actions, things that you wish you could go back and say, I wish I had not done that. But at the same time, guys, the bottom line is that there is a danger in it. that when you are caught in that situation, though the excitement of sneaking and skulking and all of that may drive you even further and make those moments even more passionate, there is an danger, because no amount of begging, no amount of pleading, no amount of money in your wallet or in your bank account is going to stop that man or woman when they are in a rage. Because the rage from that type of hurt, that type of betrayal, is something that's very different. And it just so happens to be the type of rage and hurt that I don't see the Bible exactly condemning it. So that's why I think we are warned a lot about this stuff. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And I also think that is why there is allowances to break it off and leave somebody for cheating on you, even if they did it once. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.